Hey guys, welcome to another Into the Badlands review video. Today we are discussing episode 3 from season 3, so let's dive right in. So for today's episode, I want to focus on 3 key points. The first one being the fight scenes, and then the story itself, and then my personal thoughts on where the show is headed from here. So starting with the fight scenes, the first thing we get at the beginning of the episode is an ambush on Tilda and her white rabbits. So like we discussed before, she was definitely in a position where they were going to be found by Silver Moon at some point. Lydia gave them up apparently, and once that took place, she did try to warn them with the little pigeon delivering the message, but it was right before Silver Moon and his crew got there. So that being said, Silver Moon shows up with all of his clippers to fight the White Rabbits, and we actually get a nice little choreographed battle sequence between Silver Moon and Tilda. We've known since season 1 Tilda can pretty much hold her own. Season 2 she started killing clippers with her own little crew, and obviously here in season 3 she's no longer under the Widow's tutelage, so she's out there by herself as the White Rabbit doing her thing. And this fight is actually one of the better fights. I mean, we clearly know that Tilda is outmatched. She knows it. You can see it in her face and in her actions during the fight, and how much she runs through the forest while the fight is going on. But she puts up a good battle until the point where she actually makes it all the way back to her White Rabbits. She sees that things aren't going very well for them either at this point, so she does her last ditch effort to try and buy them some time, and she ends up getting knocked out by Silver Moon, at which point her girl shows up, starts to fight Silver Moon, and tells the White Rabbits to get Tilda out of there. It turns out to be one of the better fights of the season thus far, and it's pretty cool to see Tilda out there doing her thing. Obviously she lost the fight, but she lives to fight another day. Her girlfriend ends up getting taken back to the Widow, and we see some things take place there later, but the Widow definitely has plans to torture her. The other fight that we get in this episode is kind of a continuous, elongated battle. You have Baji, Sunny, and a couple of clippers from the Widow's setup who actually believe that Sunny is their new regent and that Baji is there with him just to help out. So they lead Sunny to this Death's Alley or something like that it's called. And it's basically a nice alleyway where all these cars are parked, and there's all this chaos and dead bodies laying everywhere. And the leader of this small group of clippers tells Sunny that they've tried several times to break through this barrier or this death trap basically, but they think there's 3 archers that are up there shooting people with arrows that have poison on the tips. We find out pretty quickly from Sunny's skills that it's only one archer who's just got a bow and arrow thing that shoots out multiple arrows pretty quickly. And once we find that out, we actually get a weird moment where this girl Rin, who has a back and forth with Sunny that Baji finds pretty funny. She's actually a nice addition to the cast if she sticks around. But she gets shot in the leg a couple of times, and she's used as bait by the guy who's shooting everyone. And they actually managed to get her out, get her back to their little location where they're hiding out, and Baji focuses on trying to get her healed. But they then go back to the Death Alley with a new plan to get to the archer. Sunny actually makes it all the way up, and there's a really nice battle sequence that goes on there. It's always good to see Sunny fight, but the guy he's fighting against holds his own for a few moments, and then he gets stabbed by Sunny with one of the arrows, which leads you to believe that maybe that arrow is poison. But it actually doesn't matter, because Sunny tells his little concubine or whatever, his fake follower, since he's not really the Widow's regent, he tells him to let the guy live. He's like, okay. And then he stabs the guy in the neck, and it's like, why would you do that? He just told you to let him live, but at the same time, this guy did kill a lot of your men. So those 2 fights themselves, the one between Tilda and Silver Moon, and the one with Sunny and the guy shooting the arrows, were 2 pretty good battles. Like I said, the show always seems to be improving on the fight scenes, and it's one of the major points for people to watch is to see the good action that's in the show. So I was very pleased. It seems like we're getting about 2 fights a show at this point, and then more story, more character building, and more building of the history of the Badlands and why all of these people are trying to find Azra. So it's a pretty cool setup. But as far as the story goes, we do get to see some nice interaction between Silver Moon and Lydia now that Lydia is back at the fort. And it's actually quite interesting because Silver Moon comes straight into a room and he's like, hey, there's a few things that you never forget in life, and one of those things is your handwriting. And it's like, why would you know her handwriting? So I immediately started wondering if there was something that went on between Silver Moon and Lydia in their past. And we come to find out that yes, that is the case. At some point he offered to take her out of the Badlands and she declined because she was with Quinn. But it's pretty obvious there's still something there now that Quinn is out of the picture and Lydia and Silver Moon are kind of back around each other. So that being said, I imagine some kind of relationship tension is going to build there. They have a drink. Lydia kind of dusts him off and they go on with their day. And then you have the interaction between Tilda and the widow. So Tilda, knowing that her girlfriend has been kidnapped and taken to the widow, comes in empty-handed, ready to do whatever she needs to get her girlfriend back. And sure enough, she even threatens the widow and says it'll be much different this time if we fight. But the widow's like, no, that's not what I want. You'll be happy to know that she didn't tell me anything. She didn't give you up. You can have her back. But I do want you to come back and be my regent. And sure enough, Tilda's like, you already have a regent in Silver Moon. Why would I be your regent? She's like, I need you on my team if we're going to win this war. So Tilda considers it, but then she says, only if you give me MK as well. And sure enough, right at that moment, MK comes out of his comatose state from being all hopped up on opium, kicks a couple of dudes through a window, jumps out, and does his hero landing. He sticks the landing, and then he kicks some more butt, including kicking the widow about 20 feet away, and he's about ready to kill her when Tilda jumps in front and is like, no, MK, don't do it. You don't need to do this. And sure enough, at that point, MK snaps to, he comes to his senses, he looks at Tilda, he looks at the widow, and he decides to just leave. He didn't kill anybody except for the regents. One of them like threw a ninja star and hit MK in the ribs. So MK snatched that out and threw it right back out and cut his throat. So he did kill those few guys who were nameless goons anyway. And from there, he actually walks out and tells Tilda to come on with him. Tilda looks at the widow. Widow realizes she's going to lose this argument and battle, so she tells her to go ahead and go. And MK, Tilda, and the girlfriend end up leaving with no harm, no foul on their side. So that's pretty cool, but it leads me to believe at this point MK is probably going to go hunting for Sonny, which makes sense. I mean, he does now know Sonny killed his mom, so why wouldn't he go hunting for him? And in some of the previews for future episodes, it looks like MK is wearing some of the same garments that the Pilgrims guys, or dark-eyed people, or whatever you want to call them, gifted ones. MK's wearing some of the same gear they're wearing, and he's running towards somebody in one of the brief clips we see. So I'm definitely sure that's the first time he runs into Sonny after all of this happens, and he loses his cool and wants to go kill Sonny, even though it's probably not the best decision at that time. What else is going on in this episode? The girl that got shot with Sonny and Baji, her name's Ren. There's a pretty cool little moment between her and Sonny where Sonny calls her the girl and she kind of charges him up and says, hey, my name's Ren. But the idea is once you get shot with these arrows, they're poisoned, so you eventually die a slow and painful death anyways. But Baji uses some of his abbot skills to slow her pain and kind of keep her alive, and then they decide to cut the leg off. And when she comes to, she is not happy about it at all. She is extremely mad at Baji. She doesn't believe she's going to be worth anything after this. She just kind of loses her cool. But Baji and Sonny do manage to make it through the front lines. They eventually head on over to the witch, who is what they're looking for. And that's kind of where the episode ends. I mean, all in all, it's a good episode. But as far as I'm concerned, I need more. I need more. It seems like we're headed in the right direction. I'm definitely still very interested. It seems like we're building towards something big for the season finale. We've got several episodes left, so they've got a lot that they can still flesh out during this season. So I'm really excited to see where things are headed. Some of the previews I've been seeing introduce some new characters, so that's pretty exciting as well. We haven't heard much from Chow and her side lately, so it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to be up to. I did see a preview where some heads were rolling, so that's pretty interesting. Not sure what that's about. I would like to see exactly what's going on between the Pilgrim and his witch, because they seem to have a unique relationship as well. But I am really excited. Definitely ready to see what happens in episode 4. But that's going to be all for today, guys. Please go ahead and drop a like, leave a comment, let me know exactly what you think of this episode of Into the Badlands and where you think the series is headed as a whole, whether or not we're doing good or bad, whether or not we're going to get more Into the Badlands in a possible season 4, season 5, how long this show can carry on with only 2 fights an episode. So again, drop a like, leave a comment. Love to hear from you. Love all the comments on the recent videos, and keep on letting us know what you think.